Good morning, Thibaut.
Good morning, Mark.
So I had just a thought came into my head that this morning about I don't know what I'd call it, whether it's work attitudes or task motivation, or I'm not sure exactly what I would call it, but I've worked in actual fact, quite a lot of organizations, private and kind of government run organizations.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I notice, and this obviously isn't from all people, but it's when people have a number of tasks through the day, they can quite often have these kind of down periods. And people will take a natural break, and that's fine. But other times, they're waiting for things to happen,
Hmm.
if you like, potentially waiting to be told what to do or waiting to be assigned a task or something like that. And my observation was triggered because very often, with the vast majority of people in IQM, it seems that we are trying to fill every small bit of time that we have spare
Hmm.
with completing a task.
Yep.
And actually, that's not to say that we don't have break times and times where we're off topic for a bit, because I think it's important you have those times. But maybe there's a conversation and someone's now not involved in it, and they know they're not involved in it, then they send a quick email, which is part of what they've got in their schedule for the day. Yeah, so that's my observation.
Yeah, I think it boils down to what why the person is there. Am I there to sit out my time and get a paycheck? Or am I there to contribute to something? And do I actually want to make it successful? Because I think obviously IQM is a small organization and everybody who's here isn't here just for the paycheck. As we've established multiple times, that's not our unique selling point. So people are here for the culture, people are here for what we're trying to achieve, etc. And so naturally, people are more motivated to do the stuff that's required for their job. But you also had an interesting point about what's measured, getting told off if you leave 5 minutes early or something like that.
Yeah, I think there was another few things that I thought were interesting, but because we work using an agile process
Mm.
within sprints, we're not measuring the time it takes someone to do a task. We are measuring whether they have completed the tasks that have, in our system anyway, have been, I'm going to say, fairly
Mm.
attributed to that person. That is the capacity that we've established they are able to cope with within that amount of time. So we have processes which help to ensure that, which means that they have a workload which is achievable within that time frame, but they're not wholly constrained working to 5 p.m. That kind of
Yeah.
classical endpoint. In a let's say standard historical, I say historical, a lot of places still work like this. If you finished all the work that had been assigned to you by 4:30, you would have to sit at your desk for another half an hour because you would potentially get noticed that you'd left your desk early.
Yeah.
So if you're really efficient and effective,
Yeah. That's the thing.
you're being penalized for being good and efficient and effective at your job.
Yeah, because ideally we're benchmarking the amount of work that a person should do to the amount of work that a person can normally do. But in a sort of standard job where we're measuring time rather than output or sprint points, if you're having a good day, then you're getting penalized. If you're having a bad day, you're getting rewarded. If you have a really unproductive day, it's great. You'll make it to 5 p.m. no problem. If you're having a really productive day, then you'll get everything knocked out the park, and then people will just tell you, oh, just work ahead or something. Whereas in our system, We're saying the average person gets about 35 points done in a week. That's a reasonable benchmark, somewhere between 30 and 35 points for a full-time employee, which is about 6.5 points of productive work per day. There's about 5 points worth of sprint meetings, team stuff that are in there. It's actually a bit less than that, isn't it? If it's 6.5. Anyway, so if you manage to get your 7 points done for the day in 3 hours, who am I to tell you that you should work another 5? 3 hours is obviously never going to happen, but if you get it done in 5 hours, fine. Then just take the afternoon off and go do something fun. Or if you want to work ahead and effectively only work 4 days because you get all your work done in 4 days, then there's no problem either. Now, if you consistently do that, then you're underestimating how much work you can get done, because we are paying you to do 5 days of work. What we're talking about here is if you have an exceptionally productive period, or you want to work extra hard to get some time back.
If you get yourself into super motivated mode,
Yeah,
which isn't a normal state.
exactly.
It isn't a fair state for someone to be in all the time, because they'll end up
Correct.
burning themselves out after
Correct.
a number of months or even weeks. But they can be rewarded for that if they're super focused, because they want to go on holiday and miss the traffic on Friday, for
Exactly.
example. They can work a bit harder, pick up an extra point or two on each of the other days in the
Yeah.
week, and they can go on holiday earlier.
Yeah. And the questions I tend to get when I talk about this system with sprint points and whatnot, and especially working fully remote, where you have a lot less social control and social pressure on people to work. Nobody exclusively does things that no one has any idea about how long that might take. And if anything, it's less qualified people that are going to evaluate the work that you do. For instance, it would be very hard for a dev to estimate how long it would take me to prepare a commercial proposal for a customer. So they are going to overestimate potentially how many sprint points that would be for me. I'm going to put a realistic value on that, or a more realistic value on that. But they can definitely even then see if I'm taking the piss and not carrying my shares, because the question is, okay, 35 sprint points, it's up to me to determine how many points a task is going to be. If I just make every task 1 point bigger, then I do a lot less work. I just make it look like it's a lot more.
Yep.
But we've got checks and balances in place to benchmark tasks and to double check whether people are actually doing a realistic amount of work. Now, it's hard to do that 100%. So you have to trust people, but I don't feel like we've had any case of people abusing that. Or if they did, or if we had a feeling about it, we addressed it really quickly. Like we were able to pick up on, okay, I've got a feeling that person is doing less than they should, even though sort of the sprint points add up. And we were just able to intervene.
We often have the opposite problem, actually.
Yeah.
That's more the
With the
problem
people that are
we've
with the
had.
company longer, yeah.
Yeah. That they've got too many points in, or I'll work to the evening. No, because also part of our system is that we want to try and avoid overtime and crunch points. That's something we don't want in the system.
And to go back to your initial introduction of this point, there is also the possibility to go too far in this idea of optimizing your time. And if you've got 15 minutes in between meetings or half an hour in between meetings, trying to get an extra point squeezed out by doing some work, then I guess that's fine. However, if you're doing it inside a meeting, which actually quite a lot of people on our development team are doing, and I'm not innocent, I definitely every now and then check an email, or I do it less for internal meetings, but sometimes if I'm in recurring meetings with customers where I have a much more passive role, I'll be doing something else unless they have a specific question for me. But yeah, the multitasking thing, It's proven that it means that it reduces the quality of the work of both the things you're doing, or all the things you're doing if you're doing more than two.
I think the effect it has on me sometimes, especially as for the majority of time now, everyone has their cameras up, which is good
Yeah.
because we established that it was very important for us to be able to see that non-verbal communication. If someone is meant to be part of a collaborative meeting
Hmm.
and their body language is eyes down or they're looking to the side, that puts me off quite considerably in
Hmm.
terms of my flow because it feels that person isn't giving me the right percentage of attention socially. Sometimes because some of our staff, like yourself and Stuart, are actually able to parallel process quite effectively. You are still processing and you are still listening, but it's an accepted social contract, isn't it? That actually
Yeah.
you look at someone and yeah, otherwise it can throw the other person off.
Yeah. Maybe we should be a little bit more strict on that, because effectively, if you're multitasking, then you're saying this meeting is less important than the other
Yep.
stuff I have to do.
Yep.
Which might be the case, but then maybe we should postpone the meeting until a time where this is now important enough for you to dedicate 100% of your attention to.
And we have done that sometimes when we've seen that someone has been really obviously distracted by something, and we've said,
Yeah.
okay, how can we help you? You don't need to be in this meeting now. You need to deal with that stuff, which is obviously distracting you, that we've established is a priority for you. So we have done that and we have aware, but I think within our culture, because every organization has a particular culture, if you like, that
Mm.
they've established, I would say we are still a little bit too much the other way in that people are trying to do a good job and get their work done, but that can be at times, sometimes at least, when it's not appropriate.
Yeah. There we go. I'd say that those are some pitfalls and benefits of
Yeah,
measuring work by another unit than purely hours or minutes.
and having a more flexible working patterns, and there's actually some advantage of working from home as
Yeah,
well.
correct. And we're also still fine tuning and figuring out how to make that exactly work, but we're definitely already reaping the benefits and have been for a number of years. So, yeah. Any closing thoughts on that one?
I think that flexible working and flexibility is a big advantage, is a really big advantage for at least some people of working in a particular workplace. So I think not only has the workplace become more flexible, but I think it's also become more efficient. And I think the productivity and output per
Mm.
person, I would predict, has increased significantly.
Yeah. And we were talking about it before, I think also the way in which we've now set up our whole project management tool chain means that a lot less stuff gets forgotten, which is another benefit, which isn't directly a benefit of the more flexible working style, but it is. And one of the things that we talked about yesterday actually is that there are obviously also downsides to working completely remotely and being so efficient, trying to make everything a specific task so you don't really get the normal downtime chat, which allows people to solve small problems and collaborate more, get more of the feeling of collaboration, learn more by, Stuart called it osmosis, just being around people and hearing them talk about stuff, teachers use stuff, etc. So yeah, there's still a number of things to figure out to not lose too many of some of the benefits of the traditional way of working. Because to be fair, it works great for us internally, but it does mean that whenever you're interfacing with an external organization, another organization, you've now got a lot more complexity in making those things coincide in terms of ways of working, in terms of scheduling and all that kind of stuff. Especially if that other organization still works in the traditional way with normal working hours, etc. So yeah.
You probably miss, I think we're moving into other areas now, but I think
Mm.
you also miss the potential opportunity for you've gone to a client and you've done a workshop, and then you say, "Oh, I'll grab you a drink, or do you want to go out for a snack afterwards, or whatever." You lose some of that other connecting time, I think, potentially as well, if you're fully remote.
Yeah, I we're fully remote, and I still do go to clients when that's the best way of delivering whatever it is we're delivering to the client.